Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at round number 6 of Norway chess, which is being held here in Stavanger. Now, we reached the halfway mark yesterday after I played against Arjun, and now we start the second half where I play against every opponent that I played in the first half or the first 5 games, once again with colors reversed. So, in the 6th round, I'm playing with the white pieces against my countryman, Fabiano Caruana, and let's see how the game goes. So I start out by playing the move e4 here, and now Fabiano plays the move c5. Now this, of course, is the classic Sicilian defense that Fabiano essays. Normally against me in the past, he has played the move pawn to e5, but actually I had a feeling that Fabiano would try to be aggressive with the Sicilian because he did have a very big win in the second round against Wei Yi in Arasalimo. So I play knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and now Fabiano plays the move d6. Now Fabiano played e6 in round 2 against Wei Yi and went on to have a spectacular victory from the black side, which really righted the ship after his tough first round loss to me. This time Fabiano plays move d6. Now one of the great things for me is that this is actually a line that I've played with black all the way back in 2023 when I was playing in the Qatar Masters. This was a system that I was employing. Now, this move d6 is completely reasonable here. It can come out in many orders. For example, you can get d6, bishop b5, knight c6. This is another way to reach it, or out of the order Fabiano plays it. So now I decide to castle. Fabiano plays bishop d7 here, and now I play the move rook to e1. We get a6, and here I go bishop to f1, retreating my bishop. Now the move bishop to a4 might look attractive to keep the pin alive here, but in fact this would be an epic fail, and I would lose the game after b5. The pawns attack the bishop goes back, and after the move c4, the 3 pawns combine to trap this bishop on b3. So, after a6, I either have to take the knight and give black the 2 b's, or the bishop pair, or I can retreat with the bishop to f1. Fabiano now plays move e5, and this is the moment that I actually became very unsure about what I was going to do. Now, this line is an old variation. I have studied this from both sides, although I have to admit this is not something that I looked at before the game today, as frankly, there's only so much time to prepare. Now, this move is considered slightly dubious, but as with many of my own games when I've had the black pieces, if a position is a little dubious or a touch worse, if your opponent doesn't know exactly how to punish it or you've prepared it very deeply with a computer, generally you can get away with it. So I go c3. Fabiano plays bishop e7, d4, takes, and now we get the move bishop to g4. Now, this is where I sank into a deep thought, and I ended up playing this move d takes e5. Now, initially, I wanted to play the move d5. I knew this was the best move according to theory, but the problem is after knight d4, bishop to e3, takes, and bishop d7, I'm not sure what Fabiano had up his sleeve. He was playing all these moves instantly, and if I were a computer, of course I could play this and prove an advantage, but without knowing the exact line Fabiano is going to play, combined with the fact that I haven't reviewed this and he has, it's basically like playing a game against Stockfish. And in general, that is not what you want to do. You want to play a game of human chess between yourself and your opponent. So after thinking for quite a bit, I ultimately decided it was not the moment to play d5 here. I felt the risk was far too high considering Fabiano's preparation, and I decided to go for the very tame move pawn takes pawn. Fabiano recaptures, and now I play the move bishop e3, we get knight f6, and here I play the move h3, asking Fabiano what he is going to do with his bishop. Fabiano decides to trade, goes knight d4, and here I play the move bishop takes knight. Now, in retrospect, I probably should have played this move queen to d1, and after bishop to c5 and knight d2, the position is pretty balanced here. White has the 2 b's, or the bishop pair, but black has a great bastion with his knight on d4 supported by a pawn and the bishop. Objectively, it's about equal, but I think I should have gone for this in the game because what I sort of underestimated when I traded on d4 is I thought that there was zero risk here and the game was going to be a very boring draw. Now, of course, I should know better because I had a similar situation in the 3rd round against Gukesh where as soon as I equalized the position, I thought it would be a very boring draw, not a lot going on, and I got taught a very good lesson about relaxing. So, Fabiano castles here. I play rook d1, queen b4, and now I play this move a3. Now, this move is simply a bad move for me. When I played this move, I actually underestimated and miscalculated a little bit here. I thought that after queen takes b2, I could play this move rook b1, queen d2, takes, and after this move bishop c5, rook to a2, queen d6, I thought I had the move bishop c4 here, simply equalizing with the move knight to d5 on the next turn. But what I realized during the game, actually I should say after queen takes b2 was played, is that when we reach this position after bishop c5, rook a2, and queen d6, if I go bishop c4 here, black has a very nice move, queen to c6, attacking the rook, and when I move my rook, black can take the juicer, checking the king, and after rook takes f2, queen takes c4, black simply has one extra pawn, black has 5 pawns, white has 4 pawns here, and even though the computer says you can still draw quite easily with rook b6, I was very afraid of this situation. So I actually spent a lot of time after this move, queen takes b2. I spent something like 25 minutes before playing rook b1, as I simply couldn't find anything better. And then after queen d6, I played this move, rook b to b2. Now, this is not a move that I wanted to play, but what I understood about this position is that as long as black cannot overpressure the pawns on either e4 here or the pawn on f2, with the opposite color bishops and such limited material, I should always be okay. So Fabiano plays rook d8, and now I play the move rook to c2 here. Perhaps I should have played bishop c4, maybe slightly better, but honestly I was a little bit concerned about something like bishop d4, rook c2, takes, and queen d1, and I thought with the weak pawn on e4, maybe I could be in a little trouble. So I end up playing the move rook to c2, and now Fabiano plays rook c8, and here I play the move a4. Now, were Fabiano to take this pawn on a3 here, I simply play the move knight to d5, and after takes, bishop c5, here I can play the move rook takes a6, takes. If black takes the bishop, I have rook c5, the game is going to be a draw here. If black were to go bishop takes f2, this would actually lose the game, because after rook takes f2, queen takes a6, it's time for the classic ice skater checkmate. The king gets checked here by the queen and the rook, and after king h8, queen f8, takes, this is simply checkmate of the black king. So, in this position, after I play the move a4, right around here I started to relax, as now I knew there was no danger of losing, and Fabiano basically forces a draw here with bishop d4. I go knight to d5, takes. We got the move g6. Of course not queen takes pawn, as this would lead to another ice skater checkmate, where I trade the queens, go rook to c8 check, rook d8, and after rook takes rook, the black king simply gets stuck. So Fabiano plays g6, creating the luft for the king to escape the back rank checkmate. And now I play the move rook c6. We get takes, and here I go bishop takes a6. Fabiano goes rook c5, and now I decide to be a little bit cheeky by playing this move rook c8. Of course, I could have traded the rooks right away, but as they say in the old days, if you see a check, give a check, because it just might be checkmate. So I check the king on g8, Fabiano goes up, I take, and here I just decide to offer Fabi a draw. After bishop takes c5, let's say king f1, bishop b6 here, the game is simply going to end in a draw due to the opposite color bishops. Nobody's going to be able to make progress, and there's really no reason to waste any more time. So, this was a very, very boring and very dry classical game. It's not what I was hoping for, of course, but I was surprised by what Fabiano played, and so I figured it was, from a practical standpoint, it was better to simply be safe than be sorry. So, very boring game, ends in a draw, and now we are going to move on to the classic Armageddon game once again, where I have the white pieces in 10 minutes, Fabiano has the black piece in 7 minutes, and this is a situation where I must win the game. Now, the Armageddons for me, I'm not going to lie, have been very, very choppy. I will be honest and say that not a single Armageddon game that I played in this tournament have I been happy with. I was not happy with the game that I won against Magus. I was obviously not happy with the games against Arjun and Wei Yi. So it's really been a very, very mixed bag. And honestly, I'm going to these Armageddons at this point with very, very low expectations of just trying to play some good moves. So I play knight f3, Fabi goes knight f6, and now I play the move b3, we get g6, d4, bishop g7, bishop b2, castles, and here I play the move g3. Now, in probably 1,000 games on my stream, I generally play this move pawn to e3, but Fabiano is so good, and I know that he's not going to fall into any of the basic opening traps, so I decided to show him the respect by playing the move g3 and trying to go for the classic double fianchetto. So, we get b6, bishop g2, bishop b7, Fabiano mirrors my setup, I castle, we get e6, and here I play the move c4. Now, I think I've had this position online against players like Alexander Bortnik, amongst others, quite a few times, so I felt very, very comfortable with the setup. We get d6, I go queen c2, Fabi plays bishop e4, queen c1, bishop b7, and now I play the move rook to d1. We get knight bd7, and now I play the move knight bd2, and this is simply a bad decision. Now, the reason I played knight bd2 here is that I wanted to go knight c3 to try to fight for the square. Say we get a position like this, for example, where I can build this big white center. White is doing very well. But the problem is, if I play the move queen c2, for example, with the idea of knight c3 and e4 controlling the square, black will always tickle the queen with bishop to e4, and then go back and ask me, how am I going to build the big white center? Now, if I go knight c3, black will play knight to e4 before white has time to go queen c2. White is actually better after takes and queen to e3, but this was a Armageddon game. You don't want to move too slowly, and in my mind I thought, let's go knight bd2 with the idea of queen c2 and e4, and if black tries to play this move knight e4, now I can play knight to e1. And the big difference between this position and the other one is that if I play the same way with knight e1, after knight takes c3, you might think free bishop. But here there's knight takes pawn, forking the king and the queen, and now I simply resign. So I thought with this move knight bd2, if black goes knight e4, I go knight e1, and after takes, now there's no knight takes e2 because the knight is on d2 instead of c3. So, back to the game. I play knight d2, Fabi plays c5, and now I play the move pawn takes pawn. Fabiano captures, and here I go bishop c3, trying to line up the classic double A battery on the diagonal. Fabi plays queen e7, I go queen b2, rook d8, rook c1, rook c8, and now I play the move queen to a1. Now here Fabiano plays the move e5, and this is an excellent positional move from Fabi. I actually was not expecting this move. I thought he was going to try to play for the break with d5 here, but once Fabi goes e5, I actually am struggling in this position because I have no way to attack on this diagonal anymore. The pawns blunt the force, and black can move a knight to e4, black can play for d5, and as you guys can probably tell from the evaluation bar, black is simply better. So here I go knight to e1, Fabiano plays h5, another excellent move here, trying to attack on the king side. I trade, and now I go knight g2. Here Fabi plays bishop h6, trying to pin the knight on d2, and now I play rook c2. We got b5, here I go bishop a5, and Fabiano plays rook e8, and now I play queen b2. Now in this position, Fabi plays move knight to e4, and this is actually a mistake here. Fabiano did use 30 seconds on this move, so it's kind of hard to be critical, especially in an Armageddon game. But the computer wants to move knight to e6, trying to go for a big fork with knight d4. And if white plays e3 to stop knight d4, here come these knights. The knights are aiming towards the king side here, and black has a big advantage. In fact, black is actually just winning according to the computer. So Fabi goes knight e4. I trade the knights on e4, I play the move f3, get knight g5, and now I play the move rook takes d6. Now at this point, I'm only up 1 minute on the clock, but the good news for me is it's heading towards an endgame where my move should be a little bit easier than Fabiano's. So we get knight h3, king f1, takes, and now I play the move knight to e1. Now this move I think is a mistake here. During the game I kind of thought that I should have played the move rook to b7 first, trying to create the kebab on the 7th, because after rook to c1 and knight to e1 here, now I can run the king to g2, the bishop guards the knight, and everything is under attack on the 7th rank. And I realized it because as soon as I played knight e1, Fabiano correctly used 40 seconds before playing this excellent move, rook to a4. Now this is an all-star move. I have to admit, I thought I might be winning, but he found this move, and now the game goes on. So I play bishop d8. Fabi goes bishop g5, bishop c7, bishop e3, and now I play the move rook c6. Now at this point, everything is going very well here. I'm up 1 minute on the clock here. I have great ideas to activate the rooks. The king on g8 is a little bit weak here. Black has his knight and bishop, which are simply not on great squares, so things are looking very promising. So here Fabi goes h4, I play knight c2, we got the move bishop c1, and now I play the move rook to b8. Now the computer actually, I think, wants to move rook to b1 here, and after bishop to h6, there's apparently the move rook to b4, trying to trade the rooks, and white should be winning. Again, this is something that maybe if I use more time, I could find, but not very intuitive. So I go rook b8, we got the trade, Fabi plays bishop b2, and now I go knight to e3, we got takes, and Fabiano plays the move knight g5. Now Fabi was very close here to playing the move rook takes a2, but I do believe that this would have been a losing move, because after rook c8 check, there's king h7, rook c2, knight g5, king g2. Apparently there's this move rook to a3, and black is still kind of in the game, but I thought I was winning. And Fabi was very close to playing the move rook takes a2, but ultimately he played knight g5 instead, showing great nerves. So now I play knight c4, we got bishop a1, and here I play the move a3. And now black has some issues because the bishop is targeting both the pawns, the knight guards this pawn, and so black's pieces really can't get in the game. This rook is boxed. If you go back, I take, here takes, here takes, here takes, here takes. So this rook is completely boxed in by the rook, the knight, and the pawn. This bishop on a1, not very active either. Knight on g5, not active. And at this point, I thought I was going to win the game. So Fabi goes e4. I play f4, knight e6, and now I play the move e3, trying to take away the square from either the horse or the bishop. We get to move bishop g7, I go g4, bishop f8, and now I play the move rook c8, which apparently is a mistake as well. Computer wants to move bishop to e5, and apparently white is close to winning here with the idea of rook to c8. Instead, I go rook c8 right away, we get king h7, and now I play this move f5. Now, this is simply a big mistake. Apparently, the move bishop to e5 here is winning. I actually don't understand why after bishop g7, because here I can go bishop d6, and I guess black's pieces are kind of in a weird zugzwang here. The rook still can't get into the game. The knight and the bishop don't have any squares either, and so I guess I slowly bring my king up the board, and this is apparently positionally winning, although even now looking at this, it's only becoming apparent as I see it how good this was. So instead I go for the obvious move f5, trying to undermine the horse and the bishop here. Fabi trades, goes knight g5, and now I play the move bishop f4. Here Fabi goes knight h3, bishop e5, bishop g7, and now I play the move bishop d6. We get knight g5, and this is where I make a very big mistake. Now you'll notice here that I'm up 30 seconds on the clock, and this is a good moment to take stock of the situation and use my time. One thing that I've been very bad at in the Armageddons, I really feel like I've been playing them as if they're bullet games where I take 2-3 seconds every move. I don't go really deep in the tank except for individual moves where I might spend a minute or more, and I think that actually really hurt me in the game against Arjun yesterday, and as we're about to see, it will hurt me here as well. So I play rook c6 very quickly, the idea of taking away this a6 square so the rook is trapped. We get knight f3, and now I play the move king f2. Now this is going to be a little embarrassing to admit, but when I played the move rook c6, I actually thought that I could go bishop b4 and then play knight b2, trapping the rook as the rook has no squares available. But as I realized, the bishop can simply capture the knight on b2, so maybe I need to study how the bishop moves. And the reason this is so pertinent is that here if I had played king to f2, knight f3, and king g3, the white king is getting in to eat the pawn on e4, and at this point I should be technically winning. But when I play the move rook c6, Fabi goes knight f3, I have to go king to f2 here, because if I play a move like bishop e7 to stop knight h4 attacking the pawn, it's uh-oh spaghetti-o time. There's rook takes knight, black sacks the rook, and after rook takes rook, there's knight to d2, forking the king and the rook. I lose the rook on c4, and I lose the game as well. So I go king f2, but now Fabi correctly plays knight h4, attacking the pawn, and now I'm starting to lose my grip because the pawn is weak, the knight is also kind of under attack, and here I don't really have anything special anymore. So I play rook c5. Fabi takes, I take, he takes, I take, king g6 takes, and now the last very important move that Fabiano finds is bishop to h6, pressuring the pawn on e3, and even though I have this extra a pawn here, there is no way to win the game, so now it's a matter of whether I can simply come up with a cheese. So I go check, king f5, check, king g4, and now I've played the move rook c5, thinking that after the move rook to a4, I could play the move rook to c8, and here the bishop guards the pawn, I have rook g8, and maybe, just maybe, some small practical chances. Unfortunately, Fabiano spots the tactical motif here where he can trade the rooks, and after king to f5, the game is now going to be a draw because unfortunately for me, this square, this a8 square, you'll notice that it's light. You'll notice my bishop is on a dark square. The bishop covers this dark square. The bishop does not cover this light square, and so black is able to run this king back to the corner and then sack the bishop for the pawn, and it's a theoretical draw. I go a4, king e6, a5, d7, a6. Here Fabiano goes king c6, doesn't really matter. I play king g3, we get king c7, and now I play the move bishop to a7, and after bishop takes e3, I simply agree to a draw because after bishop takes bishop, king to b8, black's king simply sits in the corner, and even though I have an extra bishop and a pawn, it is an edge pawn here, and because this color is ultimately a light square and the bishop is dark, there's no way I can win the game. Now, to give you guys another example very briefly as I go back in the game, let me see if there's somewhere where I can go back to where I had an h pawn maybe. I guess let's keep going. I'm just going to set up something. Just ignore what I'm doing, you guys. Doesn't really matter. Let's see, how do we do this? Is there a way to do this? Maybe there's no way to do this. Yeah, there's a way to do this. So just to set this up so you guys understand what I'm talking about. One last brief point that I want to make is, let's say we get this, here, f4 takes, king h7 here. In this endgame, you'll notice that the square is a dark square. So the bishop is covering this critical square. So when I walk the king all the way up, I can check the king, push the pawn, and win the game, or vice versa, something like this. And I have the check, and I win the game. So in this endgame, when we get back here, you'll notice that the bishop is the wrong color. It does not cover the square, this light square that the king is, so there's nothing I can do. So what to make of this match? Now, I said it yesterday, and I would reiterate it again. For me, my big focus is on the classical games. I've sort of come to the realization as far as Armageddons go, it's going to come down to critical moments. If I play well, I should win some. If I make mistakes, the critical moments like I did today, I'm not going to win, and that's just life. But for me, I just really have gotten to the point where I want to enjoy the Armageddon show, and I'm not going to worry too much about it either way. So it's very disappointing to lose because I felt like this was probably the best Armageddon game that I'd played so far. But you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I am, of course, very relieved that the game was short because this does mean that after a short 3-hour game, now I can relax and get ready for my very big matchup tomorrow against the tournament leader, Magnus Carlsen, who had a crushing victory today, his second in the event against the current world champion, clearly not the best player in the world, Gukesh Domaraju. So, on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed this recap from the 6th round of Norway chess. If you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we will be back with a recap after the El Clasico tomorrow when I play with the black pieces against Magnus Carlsen in round number 7 of Norway chess. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!